It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Shorman. This is the Forum on Eagle Community Television. Good to have you watching along as our Forum program is brought to you by Hayes Med. Our guest today is Chad Simon, but we have a special purpose for today's show and have to do with running marathons, but running marathons for a purpose. So Chad, you just finished up a few weeks ago the Chicago Marathon. You're looking good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was my second marathon, and so it's been a few days now, so I recovered, went pretty good. So I'm feeling good now.
Well, you know what, running a marathon, and I guess I've determined they call it a marathon for a reason because it is. Mm-hmm. It's 26.2 miles, and the Chicago Marathon is one of the top marathons in the country. How did you decide on running the Chicago Marathon?
Well, we ran a couple years ago. My wife and I ran the Marine Corps Marathon through a charity called Research Down Syndrome. Now that charity is called Lumine Research Down Syndrome. So we chose that to raise money for Down syndrome. So once we ran it a couple years ago, and then my wife ran the New York City Marathon last year to raise money for it. It was just natural for us to do it again this year, and we picked a different one that's a little bit closer to home for us. So we just decided to pick the Chicago Marathon.
Well, you do marathons for a couple of reasons. One, it's good exercise, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you have a special purpose behind running marathon.
Yes. My daughter was born 3 years ago, October 15th, 2012 in North Carolina when I was still in the Marine Corps, and she's born Down syndrome. So since then, we decided that was a great cause. She's been an amazingly wonderful part of our life and a part of our family. So we want to raise money and raise awareness about Down syndrome, but also raise money so they can keep on doing research for Down syndrome.
Well, I know you have your shirt. It's Team Ashlyn there on your shirt over there. But you actually have a team that runs. It sounds like you have a group of people that have run with you on these events.
Yes, we're very fortunate. We ran for the charity, Research Down Syndrome, but this for the Chicago Marathon, my wife was actually able to kind of get 4 or 5 other people to run the marathon with us. Another one ran with us to raise money for the charity, but then she also had 3 or 4 other friends that ran as well, and some of them, they come from Texas, one of them came from Virginia, one drove from Long Island, New York, and we all met in Chicago, and we had a great time. We ran it together, we were sore together afterwards, but we had a great time there that day, kind of being a team of 7, running for Team Ashlyn for the charity and for Down syndrome.
We're going to talk about 2 things here. First, let's talk about the team and running as a team and what that means. And then we'll come back and talk a little bit about running marathons and what it takes to do that, because you don't see just everybody out running a marathon. So we'll come back and talk about that. Down syndrome, your background with that came with a daughter, but my guess is you have connected with a lot of people that have had family members and friends that go, that it's quite a fraternity in a sense of people that have experienced that in their family.
Yeah, it's like anything else in life. We didn't know anything about Down syndrome before. I'd heard about it. But like I said, it's like anything else. Once you, know someone with it, then you find all these other people that, have a brother or sister or, cousin or family member or, family or friend that had Down syndrome. So once you think that there's not that many people, but then once you deal with it, and you become part of that group, then you find out there are just a whole lot of other people that have, they're affected by Down syndrome as well.
And what have you learned after seeing other family members about Down syndrome that touched you and helped your family?
We've learned that we talk to other families that have children or even adults with Down syndrome, and it's wonderful for support. I mean, none of the cases are the same. Our daughter had heart surgery when she was 5 months old, which is fairly common for children with Down syndrome to have a heart condition that requires surgery. But we just found like the support was great to be able to ask someone who's had the same emotions, some of the same physical problems. How did you do this? How did you deal with that? How did you guys? What are your thoughts about things? And being able to have like other people as like sounding boards has been very helpful for my wife and I to kind of, I won't say cope with it, but get to know Down syndrome more and what to expect from it. And and just it becomes like a new normal for us. It's a normal life with my daughter now. We couldn't imagine her any other way, and we wouldn't want her any other way.
And you realize other people are in that same situation and going
Yes.
through some of those same things as well. So I know one of the things you had mentioned to me earlier when we were talking is that you started running in the Marine Corps, but found
Yes.
that with all the things going on, that running sort of led to this, but being able to go out and run and see scenery and take in things. How did you start actually running?
Well, like I told you, I ran in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps, we run all the time, a lot of physical conditioning, but I hated running. I hated running with a passion. I really dreaded having to get up, at 5:30 and go for a run. We were in Okinawa, Japan, or I was in California or Long Island, New York. I absolutely despised it. But when our daughter was born, my wife went out one day and she just, wanted to clear her mind and just think about stuff. So she went for a walk. She ended up going for a little run. Came back home. Then about a month later, we did a 5K together out in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And from there, I kind of when I found out I wasn't running, for physical training, I could go and enjoy the sights. The base we lived at the time had all these trails. I could see deer, see wild turkeys. Thankfully, I never saw any alligators because that would have been an issue at that point. But I found out like being out there in the woods of North Carolina, it was really nice. And then of course, North Carolina is not like Hayes, but out here, I enjoy running and just seeing, the farmers, the fields, just, seeing all kinds of different wildlife that we have around here as well.
It is interesting, and when we talk about running, going a marathon, it takes a lot of training.
It does.
What was your training like?
Well, this year my training was a little bit different, a little bit harder. I was training for a couple of weeks, and then I was chasing one of my children around the house, and I broke a toe. So that meant 6 weeks of no running. And then, it takes a couple of weeks to get back into, you just don't go from not running for 6 weeks into like a 10-mile run. So it took a couple of weeks to build back up. So I was really not really running for about 8 weeks, but it ended up being really good because it changed my thought process towards this marathon. I wasn't going to go and try and get like a personal best as far as time went. I said, you know what, I'm just going to go and enjoy it. I know I'm not going to have the training I need to get to do really well, but I'm just going to go and I'm going to enjoy the marathon. So it helped me kind of enjoy training a little bit. So it actually made this marathon, the Chicago Marathon, more enjoyable in a lot of ways. I stopped. I took selfies, I took photos along the way, so I wasn't concerned about trying, to get like a certain time. So it was still painful at the end, as you know.
It's a long way.
It's still painful at the end, but it really allowed me to enjoy the marathon, in ways I wouldn't have done in the past.
I had a chance to be in Chicago the week before, and the setup was amazing. How large it was.
Yes.
And tell me about that opening event, because there were how many thousand people in the race?
I think it was nearly 40,000.
So
nearly
you have 40,000,
Yes.
which is a good-sized town in our part of the world.
Yeah, it is.
And
About
they're
the size
all
of
lined
Florida.
up.
Yeah.
And what's that like, getting started in that kind of crowd?
Well, it takes a long time, to be honest. They start off in different waves. We were in the second wave. So the first wave, you have like your elite runners who are going to do it, in 2 hours, 5 minutes. They take off, real fast. And then they have like the next wave. They plan on running like probably 3.5 hours. But it takes them a while. So from when the race actually started to the time I actually crossed the start line, it'd been like an hour. But there's like 40,000 other people. So you see people from all these different countries and all the different wonderful charities. There's Alzheimer's. We saw other people running for Down syndrome as well. So it's really a good opportunity to sit there and talk to people, because what else are you going to do? You can stretch, but what else are you going to do? So you can sit there and talk to people and just meet people from throughout the world and throughout the rest of the United States as well.
Are you going to run some other marathons?
I'll probably run one more. The first one I ran was the Marine Corps Marathon, and that will probably be my last one. Don't plan on doing it anytime soon, just because of the time. And it's not the actual marathon itself. It's not the pain itself in the marathon, because once you finish it, you know how it is. Yeah. You have this sense of gratification, of accomplishment. But it's the hours and hundreds of miles of the training, that goes into the actual marathon itself, that is really difficult for my wife and I to do it, because my wife runs them as well. So if I have to run, say, 20 miles this week, well, our family has to run 40 miles. So we have to figure out time between my wife and me and our kids to get it done.
Chad and I were talking before the program because I just finished a marathon, and it's the training time that does that. And it's maybe not the miles, that's tough, but it's the time.
Yes.
Just to go out and run 20 miles, you just don't do it in 30 minutes.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
it takes hours to go get that done and hours to kind of recover from that
Yes.
as well. So making that all happen does take time and energy to do that. You have some great medals. I want to talk about those in a little bit and talk a little bit more about the team effort and what goes into doing that, not only in running a marathon, but the importance of having a team around you. We'll be back with Chad Simon, more about marathon running and doing it for a reason, after this from HaysMed.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Welcome back to the second half of our Forum program. The Forum is brought to you by HaysMed. If you have any ideas, questions, great thoughts on programs like this one, send me a note, gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. You can also zip onto Facebook. If you're a Facebook friend, you can find us under ECTV Forum. Click on us there. You'll see some other programs that we have and also can jot a note for an idea you might have. Our guest is Chad Simon, and Chad has just recently finished the Chicago Marathon, but he's done it for a reason. His daughter has Down syndrome, and we were talking about some of the medals. This is a cool medal right here. You have the one from Chicago around your neck. So one of the things I do know, crossing the finish line, you cross the finish line, it feels good, but you get your shirt and you get your medal that said, hey, I was there.
Yes.
And it doesn't have anything to do with time.
No, it doesn't.
It also do say, I made it 26.2 miles, which is interesting.
Exactly.
You know, you talked about the family part of it and the training, but everybody at some point is touched by something. You're taking your daughter's Down syndrome and actually doing something great with that. Not only a team in putting it together for running marathon, but you're also working on a local group that'll be based here in Hays. How's that working?
Well, the group, literally, we've just started. If we had talked, a month and a half ago, the group hadn't started. We thought about it. We wanted to get something going on, but we just didn't really know how to do it or how to contact other families in the local community. Just because even though we've lived here for a little over a year now, we're not actually from Hays, and I was in the military. So it was just hard, it's difficult to find those other families in the local community in the surrounding areas, not just Hays, but the surrounding areas that have children Down syndrome. Because I'd heard about them. Yeah, I met one other family here in Hays, so you hear about these other families, but it's hard to actually find these families and actually make a connection.
So you're putting together a group, and we were talking, there aren't very many groups close in Western Kansas that can do that.
No, there's actually, to my knowledge, there's none in Western Kansas. There's one, the North Central Kansas Down Syndrome Society in Concordia, and we actually went to their buddy walk in early October and had a great time there. And then last year, we went to the Wichita has a Down Syndrome Society, and we went to the buddy walk there. But when my wife and I got here a little over a year ago, we were disappointed that there wasn't anything in the local community. Because for us to go to those two buddy walks, it's 2 hours away and 2.5 hours away. And there are a lot of other functions that they do throughout the year that are great, but because of the distance, we can't make it there. So if it's hard for us here in Hays, let alone people, who we have families in Waukene, we have families in Norton, Phillipsburg, Oakley, out in the Goodland. So if we can't make it here in Hays, if you're further out in the western part of Kansas, it's even harder. So that's why we got together with some other local families, and we have started the Northwest Kansas Down Syndrome Society. And actually our first gathering is going to be here in the latter part of October. So that we hope goes really well.
Well, when you do that and you get a group of people together like that, it's amazing how that can be supportive of each other. And I really appreciate what you've done as a group. Can somebody go online and find out if they know someone that would be involved? They have a friend that maybe has a family member or something that has Down syndrome. Is there a place to go, or do they just need to find you?
Well, you can do a couple different things. One, you can call me. My phone number is 716-598-0666. 6817. So you can call me. It's a cell phone. You can text me as well. Or you can go online. You can go to Facebook and just search for Northwest Kansas Down Syndrome Society. It's a closed group, but you can ask to join it. I'm an administrator, and so we can just go ahead and add you that way.
Now, if you do join this group, do you have to run a marathon?
No.
Okay, wow.
No marathon running involved. We do hope to do maybe a virtual event or like a 5K run walk coming up on March 21st, a few months away, because that is World Down Syndrome Day. So we're hoping to do like a fundraiser that day. No, but there's no cost to join the group. You don't even necessarily have to have a child, with Down syndrome, but you can have a family member with it. We have a couple of family member or group members that are like that. So just have some sort of association with Down syndrome and be willing to talk about it, spread awareness about it. That's really all you need.
Well, first off, Chad, congratulations running marathons. I know they're a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice. But secondly, thanks for taking some things into your own hands. There's not a group here, putting together a group of people to do that. So thanks for being on our program, and thanks for all those things that you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Chad Simon has been our guest here. Again, if you go online on Facebook, and you can find it under Northwest Kansas Down Syndrome Society.
Society, yes. Mm-hmm.
Type that into the little bar up there, and you'll find out more. If you have somebody that knows, make sure you send them that way. They'll learn a lot. Again, our guest, Chad Simon. This is The Forum, brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.